Hey guys, quick check-in here. I'm going to give you an update and show you kind of something I've discovered during the pool remodel here. Pool company started their work, or I should say plaster company started their work this week. They came in, removed all the coping, all the waterline tile on day one. Day two they came in and used a hydroblaster and completely demoed the pool. So you can see the shells completely, blasted pretty good, all the old plasters removed. As they did that, they also chipped in around all my fittings, or my return fittings. So I was able to kind of give them a closer look, a closer inspection once they exposed them more. And I didn't quite like what I saw, so let me talk you through kind of what I saw, what I thought, and now what I'm gonna do about it. So if you can see here, one of the returns, it had a flange on it like this, and it had like a foam, I don't know, gasket, O-ring on the back of it. One similar to almost like you'd see used on a vinyl pool. So this pool had been refinished about 15 years ago, originally constructed in the mid-70s. And apparently when they did that refinish 15 years ago, they core drilled and reran the returns. So I don't know if it used to be copper or they had a problem with it before, but anyways, they've apparently core drilled and replumbed the returns during that previous renovation. So once the plaster company came in and did their demo work, I came down this morning and was really inspecting all three of the returns. And a couple things I noticed at first. One, these returns are socketed, meaning they slipped over the 1.5-inch return plumbing pipe coming through the wall, the PVC pipe, and they were glued on because I could see the remnants of the primer and the glue. So that meant I could not get them off. I wanted to have these replaced during the pool renovation, so I contacted the plaster company, the customer service rep guy, and I said, hey, here's a picture, these are glued on, because he had previously told me that part of their standard process is to replace these. And I said, I think you're gonna have trouble doing it since they're glued on without doing a little bit more of a technical and a more involved replacement or repair. And he said, no big deal, our crew will break them off, prime and glue on a new fitting. So I asked him again a little follow-up on it, and come to find out, I don't think this guy knows what he's talking about. I don't think he knows much about pools. So I wasn't very confident in his response and letting the plaster company come in and hope that they actually did something that would be satisfactory to what I was looking for. So I have well, if you've watched my other videos, you know I have a Bosch rotary hammer drill. So I got it out, came down this morning, and chipped out a little bit more around these fittings. And as I did that, I was able to take some pliers, I'll call them pliers, and was able to start removing that gasket behind it. And I guess maybe it was a urethane that they had applied around the fitting, which urethane is fine to use in an application like this. But as I got it off, I noticed the pipe just started to become looser. So you can see how I can wiggle it up and down right here. So I wasn't sure what I wanted to do about it. So at first I thought I could just remove this faceplate. So anyways, I was able to cut this part of the flange off, okay? And then expose basically the pipe. So then my idea was to take an 1.5-inch extension coupling. So it's an inside slip on one end, so it goes in the 1.5-inch pipe and is basically an extension of an 1.5-inch pipe on the other. So let me just kind of shove that in there a little bit. So imagine that's there in the wall. So then what I thought I could do is have the plaster company finish basically flush around that extension and then use an inside slip eyeball and slide it in there once the plaster company was done, and that would just be my return. I could glue that in, or if friction fit held it in enough, that's kind of what I was gonna plan to do. But as I continued to kind of get into this and try to clean these returns up, I noticed the more I did, the more they were moving around in there. And then I actually noticed expanding foam. Just like a can of expanding foam, somebody had sprayed in there, and that's what they were using to, I guess, act as a water stop and to kind of hold the pipe secure in the wall. So I didn't like that at all. So I went ahead, let me come above the pool wall here. Make sure you guys can see what we're looking at here. So I've already ran new 2-inch PVC plumbing, so I had connected to this line previously a few weeks ago. So I went ahead and I was confident enough that if I cut that line, I'd be able to basically just pull it out. So I took a Sawzall and cut that return pipe, and it was a little stuck just because of the foam. So I just took a piece of wood and basically a sledgehammer or a hammer, and was able to just tap it out. In just a couple of taps, I was able to completely pull out the pipe from the wall that they were using as the return. And you can see the remnants of that expanding foam still stuck to the pipe here. I'm not a pool builder, I'm a DIY guy, but I'm pretty sure expanding foam belongs nowhere around a pool in such an area that it's going to be exposed to water, acting as a water stop or acting as any sort of, hold for plumbing lines around the pool. That's just, you don't want to use that, okay? So this was kind of a hack job that I discovered, and I'm glad I did, because I've got 2 other returns in the pool that are basically done the same way. I've already removed another one. Here in a minute, I'll show you how I'm actually going to remove the 3rd one. I haven't completely taken it out yet, so I thought we could film that and do it together. So now my plan is to take brand new 1.5 inch PVC through the wall, connect it to the plumbing lines that I've run, and I'm going to talk to the plaster company on Monday, and my plan is just to leave it stubbed out, let them do their plaster application, which is actually a PebbleTech or Pebble Brilliance application, and then I'll cut it off flush with the wall and still plan to use one of these inside slip fittings such that that'll just be flush against the wall, and really that's all you're going to see then. So that would be my return. So then in the winter, when I need to do my winterization, I would just pull that slip fitting out, have just a smooth 1.5 inch pipe there that I can use a winterizing expansion plug or rubber plug in to do my winterization. So that's my plan for now. One thing to note here, as you look through the back of the wall, I'm gonna move forward like this, but I'm just gonna let you know this is not the best way to exit the pool with your return and enter the rest of your return plumbing. What you should actually do here is basically as close to the pool wall as you can, is put a 90 pointing down, and then from there run your plumbing from that orientation. And the reason you want to do that is if the deck here or the ground starts to settle, this could be a potential failure point for me in the future, such that as the ground settles, it's going to put pressure down on the plumbing, on the pipes here, and it could shear, crack, or cause a leak here at some point. So I'm willing to accept that risk just because it's going to be a huge pain in the butt if I want to go ahead and put a 90, go down, I'm going to have to dig all this out and somehow come back up to catch the rest of my plumbing. So it's really hot, I'm really tired, I'm not ready to do that, so I'm just going to accept the risk that if I have a leak sometime, I'll basically know where it's at. We're putting a travertine paver deck down, so if I have to, worst case, pull up, a few stones around the deck here and dig down to make a repair, I can do that at some point in the future. So hopefully I never regret the decision here to not go ahead and put that 90 right here on the rear of the pool wall, but I just wanted to let you guys know, if you're trying to learn and doing something like this yourself, that would be the right application here, is to use a 90 pointing down and then go on with your plumbing all the way back to your equipment pad. So let me cut here, we'll get reset up on actually the return over there on the deep end of my pool, and I'll kind of show you kind of what I've done there, and we'll go ahead and actually knock that pipe out together because I haven't done it yet. Okay, so here we are on the deep end. I've done some work on this obviously, but I wanted to go ahead and stop, get the camera turned on, and show you guys kind of the rest of my process here. So the plaster company, when they did their demo, they weren't all the way into the gunite here. So I've got Bosch hammer with a chisel bit on it, and I just started chiseling in more through the plaster back in there into the gunite. As I was doing that, I was able to wiggle the pipe more and more. You can see here some of that expanding foam. So this is what they were using as the water stop and the product to actually hold that pipe in the wall. Don't want to use this, okay? Do not do it. It might be easy, it might be fast, it might seem like it would work, but it is not the right thing to use on a swimming pool application. Quick note, you can see here to the left, this was exposed after the plaster company did their demo, after they did their hydroblasting. Apparently this is an older plumbing line that was originally in here in the pool. So when they did the refinish 15, 16 years ago, they core drilled through the pool wall and ran these new fittings. So we're gonna redo their work for them because they didn't do it right. And thank goodness I took the time to really inspect these returns before the plaster company comes and applies their new finish. So I guarantee I would have had a leak had we not found this and repaired it the way that I'm planning to do. So let's go topside here. I'll show you from the back side of the wall what this pipe looks like, and we're gonna knock it out. So here you can see where the pipe exit from the pool wall. I already took the Sawzall, made a cut here, made a cut here to give us a little bit of working room there. Since they do have the expanding foam, you know, filled in through the core drilled hole, it's, you know, it holds it a little bit. So I'm just taking an old piece of wood, a sledgehammer, and we're just gonna tap it, and hopefully we start to get some movement. So I can tell it's moving there. Look around this other side of the pool so you can see it just driving right out. Okay, just about got it. Now, if you're watching this video and trying to figure out how to replace your pool returns, the only reason I'm able to drive these out through the pool wall so easily is because they were originally installed incorrectly. So your pool hopefully was not done like this one, such that you should not be able to cut your returns and drive them through the pool wall. They should be held with, you know, cement, hydraulic cement, urethane, etc. And I'll show you how I'm gonna reinstall mine here in just a bit. So don't watch this video and think, oh, I can just cut my return pipes and hammer them through the wall. No, the only reason I can do that is because these were installed so poorly into the pool, okay? You should not be able to do this, but as we pull it out, we can see they just used I guess a 2-inch core drill, which just cuts, you know, basically a uniform tunnel through the concrete, which is great. I mean, that's the right way to do it. But when they installed the new pipes, they just did it really, really poorly. So next step here, I'm gonna take a long screwdriver and I'm just gonna kind of scrape and break loose all of that expanding foam. I'm gonna completely clean out all 3 of my returns that have this foam in there. Just completely scrape it out, get it all pulled out. So I'll spend a little bit of time doing that. I won't film it just because that's probably boring YouTube, but I'm gonna do that. Then we'll come back and I'll talk about how we're gonna do the installation of the pipes the right way, or at least what I think is the right way, okay? So we'll check back with you guys here in just a minute. All right guys, so I've got all 3 returns cleaned out on the inside. I hosed them out, scraped them with a screwdriver, do whatever you need to get them cleaned out. In my case, you know, it had that expanding foam inside the hole, so I wanted to make sure to get as much of that out as I could. So kind of what I've done off camera, I've got new 1.5-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe that I've put through the hole in the wall. Look on the back side of the pool here, so you can see I've already made the glued connection here. So I've got 2-inch Schedule 40 coming in. I've got a coupling and then a reducer down to 1.5 inches. So I've gone ahead and run my new 1.5 inch pipe through the wall and glued it in, connected it to my return line. So I had to dig this out, right? And you can see dirt, rock, you know, just stuff around there that you don't want on the joint of the pipe that you're gonna glue. So what I found helpful is just to take a plastic bag, Menards bag, Walmart bag, whatever, and once you're ready to make the glued connection, just lay it underneath the pipe. That way, you know, as you're swabbing around your primer and your glue, you're not picking up dirt, dust, or other debris, and you keep your joints clean that way. Go ahead and make your connection and then just pull the bag out. So that's worked pretty well for me. I mean, it can be a little frustrating, so you wanna make sure you dig down enough where you've got enough room to actually work and make sure you get your connection made properly there. So didn't show that. I mean, this video is not necessarily about how to make your PVC connections, rather kind of what we're doing here with the return. So now that we've got our new pipes through the wall, I'll just kind of turn and look. You can see the one on the deep end over there. You can see the other one behind me on the other side of the pool wall. I've let these extend, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches out past the opening in the pool wall. That way I've got plenty of room to cut it off, you know, wherever I need to. And as I mentioned earlier, hopefully my plasterers will be okay with it just sticking out, and they'll do their finish work, and then I'll just come cut it flush with the new finished wall. Then I'll use that insert fitting. So the next steps here are really to secure this pipe in place. And since I don't have, this is a remodel, so I'm not using a water stop or anything as far as the return fitting. You know, some of them have built-in water stops that you would use for new construction of a pool. Since we're not using that, I'm really gonna do 2 steps here to get this pipe fully installed. Hopefully, obviously the goal is to make a watertight seal here so that we never have an issue with it. So the first step we're gonna do is use a polyurethane sealant. So this is a product from Menards. You see polyurethane masonry joint sealant. NP1 Master Seal would be another product you could use. Really just any polyurethane, you know, made for kind of masonry applications is what you want to use here. You can see I've taken a 1/4 inch just plastic tube, you know, piece of tubing I cut, and I was able to fit it down over the tip of the tube here. And basically what I'm planning to do is this will go in your standard caulk gun, and this will allow me to really extend inside the hole. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this on the video, but this will really allow me to extend this into the hole and just start, I mean, flooding it in there around it, all the way around the pipe, and get a pretty good mass. I'll start in one spot and then probably just kind of work my way out. I'll probably just go ahead and put the entire tube in there. Really no reason not to. So this is really what will act as my backup water stop should I ever have a leak here in the wall itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this, I'll call it installed, go ahead and get this put around the pipe inside there. And then we're gonna let it sit overnight and really let it cure and set up. And then tomorrow we'll come back with a hydraulic cement that we'll mix up and get it mixed in a little bucket, and we'll really try to pack it around the pipe and even finish it, you know, outside of the pipe on the pool wall here a little bit. And then the new plaster guys will just finish over that. So those 2 steps combined should allow us to really secure this pipe in the wall pretty well. So on the polyurethane, you know, just gonna be flooding it in there. And then the hydraulic cement is what will really secure this pipe tight and ensure a good connection between the existing shell and what's been cut out here by the core drill. So one thing to note, if you're, you know, I was using a garden hose and water to get these openings cleaned earlier. You want that concrete to be really dry for this polyurethane to adhere correctly. So what I actually did was took a little propane torch and just used that to really dry out the concrete surface in there, so I know I'll have a better chance of getting a good adherence of the polyurethane. So we'll go ahead and put this in the caulk gun and see how well, or maybe not well, but hopefully it works, of getting it in there. This stuff can be pretty thick. I've actually had some of these split and blow out on me before. So this has been sitting out in the sun through the day, so hopefully it's liquidy enough. Oh, it feels like it's squeezing really good. So hopefully this is kind of, the viscosity is such that it'll push through this tube okay without giving us much of an issue. And you can see it coming through there now. So I'll just go pretty slow with it so I don't overstress the tube. I don't want it to blow out on the back or split on me. So I doubt you're going to be able to see this very well on the video, but so I've got it almost to the end of my tube here. So what I'm going to do is get this shoved inside the hole there, and I'll probably start on the bottom. You know, there's some play in this tube, so I'll probably start on the bottom and just start getting this filled in there. So a couple things. I think it went pretty good. The way this pipe's oriented, it's got more downward pressure on it, kind of through the hole there. But the tube we had on there worked really well. Was able to really get in there all around it, pretty far in there, and then just kind of work our way out and continue to pump it full. So I think we've got it pretty good, covered pretty well there. And as we continue to kind of fill out and kind of pump out around the face here, probably you could use rubber gloves for this or two would be good. But kind of just like you're, you know, smoothing out a bead of silicone on your baseboards or something. I was just kind of starting to smooth it out Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna leave it alone. I think I'm gonna do more damage, more harm than good here. So really, I'm just gonna leave it alone now. So we're gonna let this set up overnight, and then tomorrow, take a look at it, and then we'll apply the hydraulic cement. I was hoping to get kind of some of the hydraulic cement really packed in around the pipe there. So I don't know if I should have left more of a lip or a gap between the edge of the face here, but it just kind of started kind of coming out there, to be honest. So we'll go with it like this. Hopefully this is a good application. I'll go ahead and cut the video off for now. Pick it up tomorrow whenever we're ready to do the hydraulic cement application. We'll get that mixed up and kind of see how that goes. All right, guys, here we are next morning. Pretty happy with how the urethane turned out. So the pipe's pretty solid in there. I mean, we pumped an entire tube of that urethane, you know, several inches in and all around the pipe, all the way out to the outside. I was able to wiggle the pipe around quite a bit to really get it smushed and spread around in there. So I mean, it's definitely solid. I mean, I don't want to mess with the pipe too much, but you can see, like, you know, it's solid, doesn't want to move at all. So just that urethane's holding it really nice. So that should create a really great water stop for us. Excited about this morning. We'll go ahead and get this finished up. Last step we're going to do here is apply a hydraulic cement around the pipe. One, to hold it in place a little bit more, and to further act as a water stop. Also, hydraulic cement is used as a water stop. Hydraulic cement's pretty unique in that it expands as it cures. You know, most cement products do not do that, so that really helps it further fortify the waterproofing, you know, around a hole, or you know, if you have a crack in your basement foundation wall and it's leaking water, you know, this is a product you could actually use as a water stop in that type of application as well. Take a look at the other return on the other side of the pool just so you can see it also. This one's chipped in a little bit further, but we, you know, did the same thing on this one, so won't film this one, but we'll be doing the same thing, packing the hydraulic cement around the return. And basically that's it. Hopefully we're on the right track here. Why don't we go ahead and get the job started and get it finished up pretty quick here. So we'll mix up some hydraulic cement and we'll go ahead and get it applied here. One thing I'm gonna do real quick is bring the garden hose over here and just wet this area down before we apply that cement. So we'll do that real quick. So next step here, we're gonna mix up a hydraulic cement. If you haven't used a hydraulic cement before, which I really haven't until doing some things on this job, you only want to mix up a small batch, you know, an amount that you can get completely applied within 3 to 5 minutes. You'll notice on this product, it actually says on the front of the bag, sets in 3 to 5 minutes. And I found that to be very true. We're gonna mix just in this small 2.5 quart bucket. We're not gonna mix near that amount. We'll just mix it up in that bucket. I'll put a rubber glove on and we'll just use, you know, a hand to apply the hydraulic cement around the pipe and kind of finish or form it around there. So we'll go ahead and put a glove on right now. So the mixing instructions here are a 1:4 ratio, so 1 part water to 4 parts cement. So I've got already measured out here, I don't know, around 12 ounces of cement product, just under 4 ounces of water here, so somewhere around 3. If it's not mixing up too much, I'll just give it a quick little squirt with the hose. As I'm mixing it, I'm actually using a drill and this paddle mixer, really just so I can get it mixed up faster, because while I'm trying to mix it by hand, I have a feeling I wouldn't get it, you know, mixed in time before it starts setting up. Because the thing about this, if you're working with it, you know, once we get it mixed, it's gonna be a little bit runny, and we may start applying it with our hands, scooping some out, and from one scoop to the next, we may grab in and get a pretty runny scoop, reach back in, and we can't hardly even grab it, because it'll activate in that 3 to 5 minute time period and start setting up extremely quick. You'll actually feel, if you're holding the bucket like this, you'll feel it start to get pretty warm, and that's telling you, hey, you're about running out of your working time. So we're gonna do this pretty quickly. We'll put our water in here first. We'll dump the cement in as I'm kind of mixing it with the paddle mixer. We'll take it over to that return, and I'm just gonna use my gloved hand to really just apply the cement all around that pipe and pack it in as best we can. So hopefully this works out okay for us. Let's give it a go. So you can see I've got just some spare water here, so I throw that paddle mixer in there as soon as I'm done mixing it. So you can kind of see the consistency of it here. It's just kind of like runny sand, I guess. So we'll go ahead and just start getting some applied around here. Oops, getting too much on the wall there. So it's starting to set up a little bit more, so it's becoming more firm, which I think will allow me to apply it a little bit easier around the pipe. Just going to make a little divot here. Oh yeah, it's pretty much all set up now in the bucket. Okay, so I think we're about to just stop messing with it here. All right, there we go. We'll let that set up. Take another good look at it as it sets up. I may want a tiny bit more there, but I think we'll be in pretty good shape here. So I'll show you one other one I did just earlier too on the deep end here. I wanted to do it before I really got in the sun with it. This one was, you know, chipped out a little bit deeper into there, so I think I actually got maybe a better application of it on this one compared to the one we just did, but hopefully we're gonna be in good shape on all of them. Got one more to do, and then basically my part of the pool work is done at that point. I've got a little bit more plumbing to do at the equipment pad. I'm gonna go ahead and knock this one out here in just a minute, and then I might kick back and enjoy the rest of the Sunday. This has been a pretty hard weekend of work to get these returns figured out. I'm actually finished up the face of the skimmers just earlier this morning too. So if you're interested to see the work we did on the skimmers, we did a complete removal of 2 skimmers, put in 2 new Hayward Skim Masters, I think they are. Got them installed, poured in concrete, finished off the face with a couple different steps to achieve our waterproofing and final application. Lots of other videos on the channel on the pool work, other DIY type stuff, so feel free to subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you checking out some of our other videos. Please share any comments or feedback on this job or any of the other ones we're doing. If you see something I'm doing that's not right, call it out, so if somebody else is watching this video, they can find that comment and hopefully not make a mistake that I'm making. But just showing you how I'm going through the process. Hopefully we end up with a good result. So I appreciate you watching. Thanks everybody.